Hey YouTube, this is Jacob with Good To Go Gear. I'm out here doing another review of a knife that I have. This is the Esee 4 P, and then it's the black version. I'm just going to read the description. It says it's a fixed blade knife, features gray linen micarta scales and a black finish. 1095 steel with a plain cutting edge. I don't like serration, so it's all plain. Includes a tan Kydex sheath, but they're talking more kind of like this, the Esee 3, and that's not Kydex, that's some kind of shitty plastic. But this knife is a little older, I've had it a while, so it came with a black actual Kydex sheath. It goes on and says paracord and cord lock, and it comes with this, but this paracord and the cord lock is usually down here, but I replaced that with a rattlesnake knot for paracord. About 6 foot of paracord there, and I like having that on the end of my knives. Esee knives are made from high carbon 1095 steel. Blah blah blah. It goes on to say it'll rust. You got to take care of it. It says the overall length from tip to tip 9 inches. The blade length is 4.5 inches, but you really only have 4 inches of cutting edge, because this finger choil counts as the blade, because the blade goes all the way up to the handle, and so you have a 4.5 inch blade. But I find that this length, this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite knife, is my Esee 4. This one I haven't blacked out. I keep this in my EDC bag. I don't know why I haven't blacked it out, but I haven't had any problems with it. I don't know if y'all can see it, probably not. But there's some oil, I keep along the edge and on the logos and everything. Let's see what else it says. It says the blade grind is a flat, the hardness 55 to 57, cutting edge 4.10 inches, blade thickness is 0.19, so I believe it's 3/16. Finish is black, plain edge type, plain edge. Flat grind. The sheath, yeah, see on here it says the sheath is hard plastic, kind of like the Esee 3 in my pocket. But I've had this knife for a couple years now, and I use it when I go hunting. I use it when I go on hikes. This came with this feature, with that metal clip you can clip on and off your belt, and I like it. But what I found is this is actually the knife that damaged one of my new Blackhawk CQC Riggers belts, because I had it on there, and while I was moving and stuff in and out of the blind, in and out of the truck, it's kind of some sharp edges. And when I was pissed, because the first day I wore my belt, just bought the belt, and this kind of frayed the sides, kind of pissed me off. And I learned the hard way that you don't try to heat that up with a lighter to melt it back down, because that just fucks everything up worse. So, sometimes you just got to learn stuff the hard way. But anyway, yeah, this is a nice Kydex sheath that it comes with, in my opinion. I keep it in it because it's kind of it's a taco style. It's low profile. I like how it's got holes on it all the way around, even though it is a taco style sheath. It does have a drain hole. I don't really know if that's necessary or not, but it has it. And then I just added these two, or not these two, but this little piece of paracord through these two holes at the bottom. The knife fits in there quite well. There is a little bit of rattle with it, and I don't know if you can see I'm holding the clip down, so it's not the clip, but there is some rattle. So it's not the tightest of sheaths, but it's a nice sheath, a nice combo that comes together. Like I said, it's got the Esee 4, it's got the red G10 handles, liners. I like to keep the coatings on my knives, and I love Esees. So anyway, let's get some use on it. So I use it mainly for stuff like this. If you get stuff ready to start a fire, and doing some feather sticks. I don't know if you can see these, but they're paper thin. They crumble up. Just really fine. If you want to take bigger bites, bigger chunks of the wood, it'll do that. Then I don't know if any of these pieces will really do it or not, but I don't make tent stakes, you know, but for notching, you can hammer that in there, and then that didn't work for shit. Just carve it with the top, you know, and then carve down and have that backstop to get you a nice little notch. I guess maybe for making a figure 4 deadfall trap, you know, I mean, you could have notches, but really, in my opinion, realistically, with traps and snare wire and the things that we have, I don't know why you need to make a figure 4 deadfall trap or any of that kind of crap. But some people do. Not that it's a bad skill to know, I just don't see, I mean, realistically, I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman, I've been out in the woods my entire life. Never have I had to make a notch for a figure 4 deadfall trap. I've never really been in a survival situation, you know, either. But I don't know, it's just not anything I've ever needed to help me out with anything I've ever had to do. But yeah, it's a good knife. I use it for skinning. I'm trying to think of what else. Like last year, skinning, just cutting branches and stuff out of the way of the blind. You know, they're green, they're alive, and you just kind of bend it and cut or kind of chop a little bit. That's really it. But for anything I've ever needed it for, it's worked well for me. I mean, for making the feathers for a feather stick, I mean, they break right off. I mean, you can't get much finer than that. I mean, they just break into a million pieces. And the method I do like for doing that is to just, you know, you hear all these people on YouTube, oh man, I suck at making feather sticks, and it's like, you don't need to make a feather stick. In my opinion, I don't see the point. You know, you can just carve it in there, or hammer it in there, and pull your knife against it, or pull it against your knife, and get shavings, and get chunks of wood on. You know, I mean, I don't know if y'all can see that. But, you know, I mean, these are a little thicker this way, but they're still, I mean, you still get some pretty thin shavings off of it. So, I mean, to make a feather stick, and say that's an important skill for survival, I think people are just blowing smoke up your ass. Because my dad taught me lots of different ways on how to make fire, and this was not among them. You know, making a feather stick. He did tell me, not just carving, you know, is what my dad taught me. He was like, if you're just carving, let me get my paracord out of the way, I guess. My lanyard. I have a love-hate relationship with lanyards. But he just taught me, you know, when you're carving, if you're carving just for the hell of it or not, keep your shavings kind of close. Because, you know, you can use them to help you start a fire. And that's how we always did it. So, you know, I don't know. Having a feather stick versus just some wood shavings, that's personal preference. I think people too get wrapped up in, or get too wrapped up in the bullshit part of stuff and the less practical side of it. But I'm a pretty practical person. Some of the features I do like about the knife is this was the first knife I ever bought that once I held it in my hand, I mean, you can ask my wife, I was like, damn. Like, it just, I told her it's like when you hold a nice pistol or some kind of gun and you're like, man, that just, like, you gotta buy it. It feels like it belongs. Like, it feels like it's at home in your hand. You know, I have lots of knives. And I held this one for the first time, and I think I bought 3 or 4 of them. I have them all over the place. I love. I do have them with the crappy plastic sheath like this Esee 3, which is unfortunate because this Kydex sheath that comes with it, I mean, it's a pretty nice Kydex sheath. It's real Kydex. I mean, it's pretty thick. And like I said, I've had this one 2, maybe 3 years, maybe longer, maybe going on 4. But I mean, look at the knife from the stuff. I mean, this one, you can see some of these scratches, but what I find, not scratches, but just where the wood kind of rubs on it, you get a Q-tip with some gun oil or any kind of oil if you want to use mineral oil or olive oil, whatever the hell everybody's wanting to use. I always use gun oil. I find it works the best. It takes that crap right off. And I mean, for having this knife, anywhere between, because this was the first one I ever bought, the first Esee that I ever bought, and it was the first Esee 4 I ever bought. And for having this knife for anywhere between 2 to 4 years, because I can't remember if I bought it when I first moved to Texas. I think I did, and that was actually going on almost 5 years ago, but we'll just call it 4 just to be safe. So yeah, for having it between 2 and 4 years, this knife, I mean, look at it. You can't argue that. I mean, the coating, I don't abuse it. I don't baton the damn tree down with it. You know, if I need to do that, that's what an axe or a hatchet or something's for. If I need to split wood, again, an axe or a hatchet. I've seen enough YouTube videos to know that this knife is capable of doing that if I was in that type of situation. But again, you know, my dad, when he taught me these skills on how to make a fire, he never said, you know, get the wood, process it down with your knife. You know, this is a cutting tool. This is one of your most important pieces of equipment. You know, it wasn't let's go fuck it up just so we can look cool and make YouTube videos and you know, whatever. It was, you take care of it. And that's part of why my knives, all my knives and my guns and equipment, tents, backpacks, everything I own, I take care of, because, you know, I didn't grow up and we didn't have a lot of money. And so it wasn't something where, oh, I can go fuck it up and buy another one. It was, you take care of what you got and make it last. And that's just how I was taught. And, you know, this knife has been a good knife. Like I said, it rides with me on my belt. It stays in my EDC backpack every day. And it's the sheath, the knife has been great. So overall, I mean, I'm impressed with it. And I mean, the coating, for just the kind of use I've done with it, you know, for carving or cutting branches out of the way. I'm trying to think of what else I've done with it. You know, it's a little bit of skinning. Just, I've cut rope, other stuff with it, you know, just kind of EDC tasks. I mean, my EDC, I don't live in the woods. I'm not a professional outdoorsman, you know, and even those guys, I mean, they make the proper tools for things. And I do try to use the right tool for the right job, because it makes doing that job easier if you have the right tool for the job. But, yeah, I think it's a great knife. This one is, truthfully, I have Esee 6s, and I've, you know, a couple of those, and I always go back to the Esee 4. I have my Tops Bob that I've had for almost as long as I had this one. I think I bought the Tops Bob after I bought this one, because it came out, everybody liked it, so I got it like everybody else. But I still go back to this one. I just like the size, the weight. I mean, you just can't beat it. So anyway, that's the Esee 4, and this is Jacob with Good To Go Gear. Thanks.